Some names, they just carry so much weight, don't they? They bring up a single, very specific image in our minds. And for a lot of people, Rwanda is one of those names. It's often tied to one of the darkest chapters of the 20th century. But if we only look at this nation through the lens of that one tragedy, we miss the truly incredible, complex, and honestly controversial story of its rebirth.
For centuries, this has been a country defined by its upward climb, literally. Its famous nickname, the Land of 1,000 Hills, perfectly captures its breathtaking, rolling landscape. But today, that nickname has taken on a whole new meaning. It's about a different kind of climb, a relentless push towards a completely new future.
And if you want to get a sense of just how fast that climb is happening, look at this number. Back in 2011, 45% of Rwandans lived in poverty. Now, that's a huge number, but get this, just 5 years before that, it was 57%. This isn't just a slow, gradual change. This is a nation launching itself forward with an incredible sense of purpose.
But to really understand where Rwanda is going, we have to start with where it's been. We have to look at the land itself. This is the foundation, the physical and cultural bedrock that has shaped this place for centuries.
So, picture this. A country tucked away in the heart of Africa's Great Rift Valley. It's landlocked, sure, but it's also the source of the mighty Nile River. Its highlands cradle Lake Kivu, one of the deepest lakes in the world, while the misty peaks of Volcanoes National Park are home to a third of the planet's remaining mountain gorillas. It's a place that feels ancient and, at the same time, incredibly alive.
And for a long, long time, the people here were as unified as the land. You see, unlike a lot of modern African nations whose borders were just drawn on a map by colonial powers, Rwanda was historically a single, unified state. The people, the Banyarwanda, all spoke the same language and shared a culture, even though they traditionally had three social groups: the Hutu, the Tutsi, and the Twa.
For hundreds of years, these groups lived together in a pretty complex social system. But then, European powers showed up, and that arrival would change the balance forever. It planted the seeds of a division that would, one day, tear the entire kingdom apart.
Okay, so let's trace this back. The Kingdom of Rwanda goes way back to the 15th century. When colonizers came, first the Germans and then the Belgians, they ruled through the existing Tutsi monarchy. They propped up its power and used the social differences to keep control. But the real turning point, the moment that changed everything, came in 1935. The Belgians introduced ethnic identity cards. What was once a more fluid class system was suddenly locked in place, made permanent, and literally written into law. And this was so much more than just paperwork. This was the moment social groups were hardened into unchangeable racial categories. A wealthy Hutu couldn't become a Tutsi anymore. Your identity was now on a card, and that was it. A subtle social distinction had become an inescapable fate.
That one administrative decision, decades earlier, and all the resentment it stirred up, it set the stage for one of the most horrific events in modern history. The divisions, once made official, were about to be used as a weapon, with a speed that is still shocking to this day.
It started on April 6, 1994. The plane carrying the president was shot down. That was the spark. Within hours, Hutu extremists unleashed a terrifyingly well-organized campaign to eliminate the Tutsi minority and any Hutu who dared to oppose them. For 100 days, the nation fell into an abyss of violence until the Tutsi-led Rwandan Patriotic Front fought its way to the capital and finally put a stop to the killing.
The human cost is it's almost impossible to comprehend. In just a little over 3 months, up to 1 million people were murdered. Families were destroyed. Entire communities were wiped off the map. The very fabric of the nation was torn to shreds.
So how does a nation even begin to come back from that? I mean, how do you rebuild not just buildings and roads, but trust between neighbors who were once enemies? The story of Rwanda since 1994 is one of a deliberate, ambitious, and frankly unprecedented attempt to rise from those very ashes.
Just look at this. In the year 2000, the average life expectancy for a Rwandan was just 46 years. Fast forward about 2 decades, and that number jumped to over 65. That's not just a statistic on a chart. That's a story about renewed healthcare, about stability, and about a real, tangible hope for the future.
And they rebuilt their economy with a clear plan. Agriculture is still vital, of course, but the country made a huge strategic shift towards services. They marketed themselves as a safe, clean, and low-corruption place for business, a hub for technology and tourism. And it worked. The #1 earner of foreign currency, it's now the tourists coming to see those 1,000 hills.
The new government, led by the RPF, made a very conscious decision to erase the old divisions. Step 1, get rid of the ethnic ID cards. They introduced a new flag and a new national anthem, all designed to be symbols of unity. They re-engaged with the world, not as Hutu or Tutsi, but simply as Rwandans.
This recovery has been called a miracle by many. But the piece that made all this incredible progress possible is, well, it's a complicated one. It's built on a very challenging and central paradox.
The main architect of this new Rwanda is President Paul Kagame. He was the commander of the RPF, the group that stopped the genocide. For the last 3 decades, he and his party have held power, guiding the nation with a very firm, unwavering hand.
And this gets us to the absolute core of the modern Rwandan story. It's a paradox. On one side, you have undeniable progress, stability, incredibly low corruption, strong economic growth, and massive gains in public health. But on the other side, you have a system of very tight control. Many observers call it a one-party state, where the press is heavily restricted, and there's virtually no room for political opposition.
So here's the question that Rwanda's story leaves us with. It's a nation that has emerged as a powerful model for development, a true phoenix rising from the ashes of an unimaginable past. But it forces us all to ask a profound and difficult question, one that goes far beyond the borders of the small country. In the quest to create order and progress out of absolute chaos, what is the true price of peace?